And as Brexit negotiations continue, questions about the Irish border remain. Prime Minister Theresa May says she wants the UK to exit the customs union among EU nations. Such action risks creating a hard border between EU member Ireland and Northern Ireland. The EU says that border checks are inevitable if the UK exits the customs union agreement. Talking Points analyst Conor Wight spoke with Professor Seth from Syracuse's Maxwell School to break down what this all means for the region.
I'm here with Associate Professor of Political Science, Professor Jolly from the Maxwell School. Professor, how are you?
I'm well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, in general, what we're talking about is Brexit and how that can impact the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. In December, there were several talks that really weren't resolved with regard to how that setup is going to be, with Theresa May pretty hard set on wanting to leave the customs union and the single market setup within the EU. What do you think the outcome ultimately will be?
Last March, they triggered Article 50, which gives them more or less 2 years to finalize all of the agreements and get out of the EU. So they have to make choices about these customs unions issues and also the border. And for the hard Brexit people, the ability to enact borders is really important. And so the only land border is between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. And that's where the arguments came to a head in December. They thought they had it settled, but they didn't.
So is there much weight to an idea that maybe they can exit the customs union, they can exit the single market, but maybe have sort of a special situation for Northern Ireland where that, just specific section of Britain stays within that so that there isn't the risk of a hard border between itself and the Republic of Ireland?
Yeah, that's where it really gets complicated. So what May originally wanted, what the Prime Minister of Britain originally wanted, is to have Northern Ireland basically stay the way it is now, keep a no-border zone with Ireland, and that would make both Ireland and Northern Ireland happy. The problem is one of her coalition partners, the leader of the DUP party, doesn't like that. He wants the Northern Ireland to stay in have the same regulatory rules as the rest of the United Kingdom. So he stopped that, one of her coalition partners. And so the Northern Ireland can't keep the Irish rules, which means they can't keep no border. And so what May wants is to have her own regulatory rules, but no border with Northern Ireland. And so the EU is not going to allow that to happen. They have to have a border on all of its external borders, basically. They have to have customs rules between each place. And so that's where it is a hard line between what the EU wants and what the UK wants and then what the Northern Irish want.
So a Copenhagen economic study has said that ultimately the Irish GDP is going to suffer no matter really what the outcome is. So, we've talked about the economics of that, but what about, sort of the social implications of this? Sort of having a free-flowing border was a hallmark of the Good Friday Agreement between Ireland and Great Britain. Is there a risk of sort of, IRA era, Troubles era tensions rising again if a hard border is set?
That is one of the big fears, is that Irish Republicans will use these borders as targets. And since the Good Friday Agreement, and especially the last few years, there hasn't been much of that. And so it is worrisome. And Sinn Féin in particular started to send signals that there will be political trouble in addition to that.
Well, Professor Jolly, thank you so much for being with us. And I'm sure, as this develops, we at Talking Points will continue to monitor that. Back to you guys at desk.